everyone, welcome to the Miss Texas show, where we showcase lifestyle in Texas and highlight the amazing survivors of traumatic events, family violence, sex trafficking, sexual assault, and the community leaders to share with the community their resources. Under our segment of the military time, we partner with the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce, and we invite military and veterans who would like to share with us their experience during and after their military service. We also have another segment called Beautiful Ashes. That is a segment where we invite our beauty pageants, such as winners, but not limited to them, as well as the nominees. We also invite our artists, our film directors, our movie stars, our musicians, actors, models, as well as, very importantly, the ambassadors who are there for the cause and share with us about their lives and the impact that they are making in our communities. Our show runs every 2 weeks, and if you would like to be part of the show, you can reach us by email at missusatexas@gmail.com. It's MSUSA or you can reach us via our Facebook handle with the same name, Miss USA Texas. So today I'm really excited. We talked about our Beautiful Ashes section and about our movie stars and our film directors. And I have a very famous film director here on the line with Miss Dan Hertzog. He has sent me a bio and it's very long. Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. I know that we had to give several tries and I waited several weeks before we finally get to see you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited.
You're welcome. We're so excited to hear your stories about, how you get started. So I'm just going to tell a little bit what he sent me in the bio and let you guys hear the story from himself. So Mr. Hertzog graduated from USC School of Cinematic Arts in May 1991 with a BA in cinema television production. And he has also worked with a lot of the handful of ad agencies, including FCB, Bates USA, Gray, and Ogilvy and Mather. I was telling him before the show that I actually have to go online to do the research, do my homework, how to pronounce the ad agency. So while continuing to produce TV commercials, he also found work shooting and directing spots through his production company, In the Wee Hours. And we'll talk more about In the Wee Hours. In the Wee Hours had made a huge contribution to my cause and made a PSA, which is related to domestic violence awareness. And in his career, he has won a lot of awards. A few of the many awards are like his AFI thesis film, The Passage of Mrs. Calabash, was later honored for artistic achievement in the cinematography at the 2006 Emerging Cinematographer Awards. And he traveled to Indonesia to lens the dramatic short Earthbound for writer director Robin Shaw. Did I pronounce the name correctly? He was recognized again by the International Cinematographer Guild for his work on that collaboration at the 2016 Emerging Cinematographer Award. Some of his more recent work includes the launch of the campaign for Carbon Clean, the 1950s family drama Life in Kodachrome, and the international drama Dreams of Starlight. And this is another one I'm really interested in hearing. I think Dan and I went go back to, gosh, how long? I think over 10 years of history that we know each other. And that kind of gives away our age or your bio, right? But out of the blue, he gave me a call and said, hey, I want to talk to you about something. And that's just like one thing led to another. We worked on the PSA, we worked on the Dreams of the Starlight. So, without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Hertzog and welcome to the show. And tell us a little bit, how did you choose the movie industry? How did you get here?
That is a great question. Again, thank you for having me on the show. I'm just gonna say this up front, I'm normally behind the camera. I'm not in front of it so comfortably. But when you called, I was like, I really wanted to support you. It's particularly in this month, with domestic violence being an issue that we are so passionately about. How did I get, I think my career chose me. I think I'm of the generation that we as kids saw Star Wars. And when I saw Star Wars, not even the first year it came out, it was the second year it was re-released. I think I was 9 years old. And I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. I want to be in filmmaking. So yeah, I was a lucky third grader. I think not a lot of people know what they want to do that early on, but I just kind of stuck with it. And my parents never said no. That was really supportive. I grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. and back then there wasn't a lot of options to be a filmmaker. I mean, unlike today, you can make a movie on your iPhone or,
Right.
whatever. So it was really, a little bit more challenging back then. And I just, just gradually followed, special effects. That was what I really was into, from Star Wars to Raiders of the Lost Ark to E.T., any of those, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg movies, anything Industrial Light and Magic did in the world of special effects was something I was into. It wasn't until I got to USC that I realized, wow, there's so much more to filmmaking than just visual effects. And I thought, wow, I gradually wanted to decide I wanted to be a cinematographer. And that was about my junior year. I went to USC my freshman year. I remember, I think I saw like 284 movies in my freshman year. It was like, my mind was blown because I'd only seen, a few every year. And I thought, this is something I was really passionate about. And I kind of planned my courses with becoming a cinematographer in mind. And I partnered with, a very well-known director now, more famous than I am, named James Gray on one of our projects. And he's gone on to become quite successful, as have many of my classmates. And I think it's just, where I fell into advertising, and some people, stuck it out in Hollywood, but I moved to New York and got into advertising, and that was kind of, the basis of my filmmaking career, really.
Wow, it's quite impressive, like you said, third grade, and you knew what you want. Just a few days ago, we were talking to people. Say, we had an artist that we're working with. He's over 20, and then I was really proud that he knew what he wanted and he's doing what he's want. But really importantly, now you're a dad of how many kids you have? 3, 4.
3 kids.
3 kids, yeah. But you can tell the story of your kids. Say, hey, I was the third grade. I wanted to do this, and today this is what I'm doing. I'll be honest. Third grade, I think I had a different dream. I wanted to be a dancer. I mean, It's still my part time. I do that, but for you to come through with your dream, the determination and the achievements, that's just like that says something, and I can see through the passion. I know we worked together briefly, but I see that you're a perfectionist. You would back then you would tell me, no, this is not exactly. I want the sound to sound like that. I'm like, this sounds just fine to me. I'm an outsider. I don't know much about filmmaking, but I love what you do because that's the passion what drives you to what your achievements are today. This is awesome. So how did you start your company in the wee hours? What drove you to do that?
That's funny. I'm thinking back, I'm rewinding, going, it was about 1997, maybe. The actual genesis for the company was I invented a drinking game called Thinking is Drinking. And don't worry, you can play with drinking water like my parents do, and they just pee their pants laughing.
But I'll make sure I include that in my next job.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I felt like, you only have like 3 original ideas, maybe if you're lucky in your lifetime. And I thought, I don't want to be, sitting in my rocking chair one day going, I thought of that idea. I wish I would have done it. So I just didn't ever want to live my life like that. And I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to create this thing. And it evolved over the years, and, it went nowhere. But I was proud of myself for having done it, and it was quite fun. We could play. I've toyed with the idea of having game night virtually over Zoom with our friends because it's a word association game, and I won't get into it today on this call. But it would be something that would help us get through a lockdown, or something where Zoom has become our sort of norm. But it started with that game. But really, one of my friends in actually Philadelphia, I called her up. I'd worked together with her on a different campaign for I think Reebok or Foot Locker or something. And I said, hey, what are you working on? And she said, oh, I have this very low budget project for the New Jersey State Aquarium. And I said, oh, well, how low budget? And it was low budget at the time. And so she said to me, well, hey, why don't you direct this? And I said, well, oh, okay. And so I took a look at it, and that was really the first real job that In the Wee Hours did, sort of production on, that we really, brought our resources together and was able to kind of make it happen for the New Jersey State Aquarium, which has been renamed since, but it's, in Camden, New Jersey. And, we won a few awards for that back in 2001 or two, I guess. And that's what really set me on, the course of producing commercials and now online content within the wee hours. So we were a Manhattan Beach-based production company for all these years, and I've sort of, some years I was busier and some years not as busy in my cinematography career, so that I didn't, maybe the company hasn't grown as fast as I had wanted, but that would be my own doing because I was off shooting a movie or two or three. So what we did in 2015 is I kind of made a conscious choice to expand our business. I collaborated with the three of us, my producer, Anthony Mosa, and my senior editor, Dave Garcia, and myself, sort of rebranded In the Wee Hours and started, that was basically became my full-time job for many years. And that has been awesome, and we're just trying to grow that business. The plan I always had, the 3 to 5 year plan, was to move from commercials into narrative filmmaking. And so, concurrently, so we would produce commercials. We still do. Love that. I love the ad industry. It's a little different, in these days. But, we always had planned to move into short films or feature films. And so that's kind of what, or TV series. And that's what we've been working on, at the same time. So then, 2019, we decided we would go bi-coastal. And so we've expanded to the East Coast as well. And, up until, a global pandemic took us by surprise, things were moving right on track with all our dreams. But, this won't stop us. We're still working. We're still, available to help out. And, we're doing our narrative work. Independent scene is really starting to pick back up. So we're excited about the future. Maybe 2021 would be a little bit better for us. But that's kind of, the little history of In the Wee Hours, our production company.
Thank you. You answered my next question. I was going to ask you your, next plan for the next 3 to 5 years. But as we all know, that the pandemic kind of got in the way of our plans for all of us. But it is people like yourself who, has a dream and who is determined to keep going. And obviously, you had a vision, so you went bi-coastal. So that was a really smart move. And I know that when we were trying to reach out to you, you were working on some projects, and I'm sure, things will get better over the time. And some people say that it is during the time of the stress like this, it's when people like yourself who will really excel. And I see already, and I believe in you that you will. So, I know that when we got back in touch again, you actually reached out to me. You were like, I saw all those posts about domestic abuse, and I obviously am a activist against domestic abuse, sex trafficking, and sexual assault. So we reconnected, and you were telling me about that you wanted to make a movie, and your wife is from Mongolia, and I'm from China, so the culture is very similar. So that was when, we started talking. But once again, so many people, like I said, I used to be in the industrial business, manufacturing, in fact, and people say, I invented this. I say, no, you didn't. Everyone has the right to go patent the copyright until you patent, and then there is a process to go through the preliminary patent before anyone else gets to it. And it's all about the timing. So, it is the idea which you turn into action and turn into the movie. So I read a little bit about the story. It is about this lady who fled the country because of the abuse. And so I would let you tell us a little bit more about the movie, and the name is called Dreams of Starlight.
Yeah, thank you. It is funny that my wife and I met 8-something years ago, and very early on in our relationship, we said, "Wow, we should shoot a movie in Mongolia. Like that would be amazing." And we had always said that, and for years and years, it didn't really come to us. It came gradually, what happened was unfortunately, I kept hearing stories of her friends. I'd meet her friends and I'd hear their story, and a bottle of wine later, you get into like what really happened to a lot of her friends that she knows personally, and it was this story of abuse. And I was just like kind of taken by surprise. It's not something we talk about hardly in our country, especially 10 years ago. But they really don't talk about it in Asian cultures, and it goes sort of under the table, if you will. And I said that there's something here. There's something here. And so we kind of took this idea, all these stories I had heard, and kind of created our own version of it. So it was inspired by true events. But Dreams of Starlight is a feature film that basically is the story of Sarin. And she's a Mongolian herdswoman who has to, flee her abusive relationship basically to save her life. And she ends up making her way to Guam. And this is basically, at the fall of communism in the 90s, the year 2000, when things started opening up in Mongolia and you could get out. And that's about as far as you could get, was Guam. So our lead character, she makes her way to Guam, and she's sending money home. She left her 6-year-old daughter behind, and she's sending money to her mother and daughter to take care of them best she can. And she ends up eventually meeting an Air Force pilot from the Air Force Base in Guam. And they get married, and she's reunited with her daughter, now who's 13 years old. So, she kind of reinvented her life and had this new relationship, but it turns out, that guy wasn't necessarily the best either. He wasn't abusive in the same ways. He was more of a womanizer, just another sort of bad apple, if you will. I'm certainly not saying anything negative about the U.S. Air Force or anything, but, there are people that treat women not the most respectfully. And her daughter sees that, and she realizes she's making the same mistake she made before, and really can't take it over the years. She just, when she turns 18, she's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to LA. Both women wanted to pursue performing, being actresses. And so, there's a little bit of a, falling out between the two. Her daughter makes it to LA and eventually sends for her mom to leave her current husband and come live with me in LA, and we'll pursue our dream for performing. We'll become famous actresses. That's the dream, the dreams of Starlight. So I won't give away the ending, but it's definitely, a bittersweet ending, where her mom doesn't achieve the dream, but the daughter does. So, it's one of those. And I think we all go through that. Like anyone that has kids, I'm still chasing my childhood dream, right? Many years later. I won't say how many. And it's a lifelong pursuit. I won some awards. It's great. My work's pretty okay. But it's not where I expected to be or where I'd like to be. I'm still, hustling and trying to, reach the next level and the next level and the next level. And that's kind of, that's what many of us in this industry, we have that drive just to keep going. And so I think you can relate to, maybe I don't achieve my dream, but, we want the best for our children. And so we support them and their dreams. And maybe, I've heard many stories where that is the case, where, someone's kid, like the best thing I could do is maybe support my children, what their dreams are. So anyway, it's a long-winded way of saying, like, we have this wonderful opportunity to shoot this movie that has a very universal story with a female lead character, and it definitely deals with the issues that, were concerning. When you and I first talked, maybe this is your next question, but when I called you, I was doing research. I had this idea of the story. I hadn't written the story yet. And I just was, we were talking, and I have my notes actually in front of me. I took these notes from that conversation. I don't know where I was on location or something. And you were so knowledgeable, which is why I reached out to you. You were so knowledgeable and such an advocate, against these issues, and really, pro supporting victims of abuse, sexual assault and trafficking. And I didn't know when we were talking about your story. It wasn't until partway through this conversation that, you opened up and we got to the details of, wow, I had no idea. And, that's kind of what led us into, really shaping our character around some of the things you had said, in addition to the stories I had heard. And then obviously that what led to the PSA that we ended up creating.
Wow.
So, yes, thank you. It, I think, is appropriate here. Thank you for the work you do, for one, and for just being so vocal, and how you turned your situation around, and to be so proactive and to be such an amazing resource to others. I mean, I'm almost in tears. Like you're it's so
Let's
impressive.
not start that, because I'm gonna cry. I was
Yeah,
having
okay,
goosebumps when
sorry.
you tell the story. No. Thank
Very
you.
proud of
It is
yeah.
my true honor. I just, you and I both believe in God. You see the cross in the back, and I just believe everything happened for a reason. And
Yeah.
do I like what happened to me? Not you and I, no. But what happened to me made me stronger. What happened to me made me aware of what was going on, so that I can be a platform for other people. And for the same reason, that's why I went for the pageantry for Miss Texas. It isn't for me, but it's a platform that opens up to educate people about this. And most importantly, for prevention, so that our loved ones, you have daughters, and your daughters, your sisters, and your mothers, because it's not about anything about age. I just posted a few days ago about the vigil that I attended last year in person. This year, obviously, everything went virtual. And they were announcing names and ages. You'd be surprised to hear that those victims, they're not lucky like some of us who made it. And the victims, they could be as young as several months old to as old as over 80 years old. And, it just brings tears to me. And I just want to do this because I don't want people to go through what I had to go through again. And that's really how I initially started. But you turned this into a movie, and you helped me turn it into a message of PSA. So I think, I want to thank you in front of my audience for doing that. But yeah,
my pleasure. I mean, we haven't made our movie yet, so if there are others out there in your audience that want to support us, we're open to that. But obviously, it's a story that needs to be told. I remember when we got into developing the commercial, the PSA, public service announcement. If anyone was wondering what that meant, PSA, there was one statistic that really grabbed me, and it was 20-something people per minute suffer from domestic abuse or domestic violence in the US alone. Okay, so that part was what caught me. Imagine what that is the world over. And that's where the genesis of our story really was. It's just, I probably get in trouble for bringing up a topic in an Asian country that, keeps it pretty, below the surface. But I mean, it's a statistic that's too staggering not to bring to the surface. And that's what that's what our movie wants to really do. And I do feel, it's set in Mongolia, but it could have been Vietnam. It could have been any country in South America. It's a universal story, as you've seen from all the people that you've spoken to over these many years. It's a universal global problem. And I think we have a story that people will be able to relate to. And really, at the heart of our story, it's about young women, in particular in this case, just pursuing their dreams. Our main character, since she was 6 years old, wanted to be a movie actress. She didn't succeed. Her daughter did, but she had that drive from early on. And we want to just let people know, people of all ages, our youth, men and women, but boys and girls, you can do whatever you want to do. Just you have to just go for it and never give up. And like I said, I'm still chasing the dream, right? And I think life throws us, I always say life is what happens when you plan something else, right? So, I didn't necessarily ever know that I would end up with 3 kids, or, we just, we go where life takes us. And I think we just believe in that there is a bigger plan. And it's, it's good. I just want to help give back. And same way you have pageantry, I have filmmaking. And if there's any way that I can give back, or spread a message that helps others, then that's what this art form is really about. And, like I said, the first step we took was to make a PSA for your foundation that, has blossomed and grown over the years. So I was really, really excited to be part of that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for, your unconditional support. And the message was great, chasing the dream. And, isn't that, I'm an immigrant, and isn't that what most of the immigrant about? We came here to chase our dreams. Some of them, they might not have an exact goal. They just say, I want to go to America because that's what people call the land of dreams. But it is true. And it is true in a way that you have to take actions to it. It's not like people just imagine, say, there are different Chinese saying. They say, okay, the moon over there is brighter. No, it's not the same. It's geography, just depending on time of the day and the, day of the month. But, I think it's the action. It's the hard work. You see, like, I didn't know when we did the PSA, it turned out to be a 60-second PSA, but it took us a whole day to do it. And we did so many versions, and then you look through, say, no, cut, redo it. And then I'm like, no, but I really like the other one, But it is the hard work behind the scene, just like you said. I'm really glad that you're so humble. You're always working behind the scene, but I'm so honored that today you agreed to support my cause and get, in front of the scene to our audience to share with your stories with us. But also importantly, be careful what you say, because you say the platform, you never know. Maybe we'll ask you to do a documentary next. So we talked about yeah.
Yes, I have to be careful what I say and what I promise these days, especially in these financial times and uncertain future in our country. I guess we'll see what happens next week. But it was great. It was a great timing, like that I was able to help you. Those were different times just 2 years ago. It was good timing. You needed to help. I was able to help you, and I love that I got that Facebook reminder a week or so ago. It was our 2 years since we put the PSA out there, and it's so much more relevant even now, with everyone being stuck at home for, how many months this year, and you see the numbers rising, and it's so much more important to keep getting that message out there to people. And let's try to get that PSA on the air, and, let's keep moving forward. It's not dated in any sort of way. And the concept, I remember when I was working with my creative director, Daniel Gray, who you remember.
Yes.
Danny and I, went through a couple different concepts. I think we usually come up with 2 or 3 and we present to you. But this one that we ended up on just really stuck with me. It's, because it's a question I think people ask themselves. Friends of yours, probably, at least if they're not asking you in front of your face, they're wondering inside their heads, why don't you just leave? I think it was a question I posed to you when I found out that you went through the same, ordeal. It's like an easy question to ask. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Yes. Why don't you just leave? And of course, there are amazing reasons that everybody had, but each situation being different. But one of the commonalities is you can't leave if you don't have a place to go. And I thought that was the germ of the idea that we really clung on to and made happen in our PSA, that I think speaks volumes. And that's what I wanted to support, is if you are able, even if, I think we talked early on, even if it wasn't you physically having a place for people to physically go, there's all sorts of other ways that, you know, Hope Picks Global can help. And that was really, you know, what I wanted to get behind. And I hope that, you know, someday there is maybe that physical place that people can turn to, at least in the Houston area, or, you know, someday nationwide, where we can really, you know, provide the resources that you so eloquently state in your mission statement. I'm really hopeful, you know, to coin a very important word, right?
Thank you. You know, you are very fundamental to help with this. Like I said, it became God's calling. That's like a short version of my dream. Who would have known that, you know, behind me there's a picture of me dancing. That was my dream. I try to be reminded once in a while. Maybe, you know, if I have 48 hours, or maybe when I get really old, or maybe after I finish the shelter. But really, my dream now is to contribute to a shelter. So, you know, we'll link in the comment section below of the nonprofit so that you guys can take a look, and we all link the PSA, which Dan, you know, helped us make. And you forgot to mention that they won the LA Addies Award. And I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, wow. You know, I was actually busy working on another project. When I see this, I'm like, wow. I'm just like, you know, that's what really impresses me. Like, you know, you just keep going, keep moving. And that's what happened. I was just listening to motivational interview with what is his name? Navy SEAL David Goggins. He wrote a book, and he was talking about, you know, how it's not about, you know, how, you know, the result. And the result, yes, it matters, and that what people remember you by, but it is about the effort, just once again behind the scene. How many times you know, drop to the ground and you come back up and start doing that over and over again. And if you ask many people who succeed in what they're doing, they'll tell you the same story. It's just people don't know. People think like, you know, miraculously you just do it once, and people might get lucky. I don't call it lucky, I call it hard work. And I know that, you know, the name of your company explains itself in the wee hours, right? Right. You work so hard, you know, behind the scene to make all these things happen. And this is my goal. And my goal is like, you know, people ask me, say, how do you add up those thousands of volunteer hours per year? That's full-time job. I said, well, it is. I just sleep very little, you know, because it's my passion.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I had a conversation with an attorney the other day about the Boy Scout of America claim, which you might have seen on the channel, who has the claim is due in November the 16th, I believe. And we talked about, you know, if it's your passion, you never work a day. And this is my passion. And you know it is, you know, your passion as well. So I never work a day. I'm like, you know, I'm single. I don't have kids. So I go to bed thinking about it. I wake up thinking about it. It's like I'm married to the cause. And it's not a complaint. I'm just so excited about the way it's going. And thanks to you again. I know like this year has been difficult for all of us, and we have to kind of maneuver through it, but we have come up with, you know, different creative ways through Zoom and different channels. And this show is a result. It's you know, another baby of it. And you know, like I said, 2 years ago we had this, and now we have the show, and the song came up, and I have more exciting news that's coming up. And this is a dream, and you know, I'm confident the dream will happen. And it's in the mission statement, like you said. It will start in Houston, but I have already expanded my branches with ambassadors across the country, and we'll be linking more in you know, in the show as well. But you mentioned about, you know, how our audience can help with the movie. We will be linking that in the content section below as well, in addition to Mr. Hertzog's bio, so that you can have more information about how to support the movie, because I really think this is an important message. And you know, one day once the movie is finished, then we'll do a follow-up interview with you, and would love to know, like, you know, the behind the scene, how it goes, and where people can watch it when it you know, goes the premiere. And you never know, maybe we'll do a screening. There are just like unlimited opportunity that goes back to, you know, chasing a dream.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yes.
You know, a feature film is a huge undertaking. It'll take 1.5 to 2 years. But you know, we're optimistic that I don't think this issue is going to go away in that time. This will still be a relevant topic. It'll probably get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. And we know that we can always produce movies and stories that are uplifting. People will always want to hear of a tale of success, or, you know, that trials and tribulations that they were striving for something, whether you achieve it or not, isn't really the point. It is about not the result, but that journey, that effort, as you mentioned, that you put into something. And Saren, our main character, goes through all kinds of trials and tribulations, you know, trying to find a marriage that works, and raise a daughter, and, you know, have a career, and how do you balance, you know. So yeah, that whenever that movie is made, it will still be relevant, and it will still be a story that I believe people will want to see. So I'm excited.
I believe that it definitely will be. You know, you mentioned the relevancy of this during the pandemic. For instance, the stats of domestic violence went up. The stats of sex trafficking went up among different coalitions, committees, and different advisory boards. And I hear those numbers going up, and it's really sad because, you know, so many people are going through unnecessary stress already, and this is not something we have to worry about. So in my way, I just say, like, you know, if you see the intro video, I'll say until everyone is free. And that's really what I think, because I want to provide a platform to inform people, to bring the awareness so that we can prevent that. But there are people out there who has already been through it. And this journey, you know, last time, not long ago, I had an interview with an advocate, and she's a survivor. And she said, you know, this is something we discussed about. It's not going to go away. The wounds, the physical wounds will. But the mental, it's just like it's a stamp. It's about how sometimes you deal with it. There will be cloudy days. There will be things that, you know, can trigger things. And so I try to support the people like in the shelters. And this year, I don't know how we're going to do it because of the social distancing. But we try to, you know, do the events at the shelter, bring it to them so that it can make it easier. And, you know, like you mentioned that, you know, having a place to go is the thing. And some of the people, I know a lady, she told her story. She left her abuser without shoes. Because, you know, you're on the run. It's about life. It's not about material. It's about your life. You're on the run. So when during the holidays, you'll be reminded, say, oh, you know, back then I used to be with my ex. You know, regardless, there was a time that he was good to you. Just like she said, you wouldn't be with a person whether you're, you know, in a relationship or married to him. If he started off as an abuser, he would be that sweetheart. And that goes to the, you know, the cycle and the controlling power and controlling will, which is on the website as well. But, you know, he will be showering with you with gifts and telling you you're the most beautiful person in the world. I love you, and you're the only person of me. And you know, you talked about womanizer and different stories and different situations. Every situation is different, but I just wanted to make life easier for them. So yeah, you know, I can talk about this forever, but isn't about me. This is about you. And today, you know, it's your show and you're the star. I'm just like really, really grateful of, you know, the PSA and what you did and what you have been doing, and your support, because, you know, without you, we wouldn't have been where we are today. But thank you again, Dan, for your time. And it's so good to see you again and see that, you know, I think I put on some weight, but you look good. So yeah, keep us posted. We'll definitely be linking the show, you know, the information about the movie, so that the audience will be able to look at it and then see how they can help. And I can't wait to. I know it's a process. It's not gonna be like overnight, but, you know, a year and a half is time. And I can't wait to see the movie. And then we will do a follow-up interview. But I'm sure in between there'll be lots of initiatives. You never know. Maybe I'll go to your side of town, because, you know, we're expanding, and just it's all in God's hand, and I'm just doing His work. That's all.
Awesome. No, thank you for having me on the show. It was really fun. And, you know, for all the mutual support, you know, I will do whatever I can, you know, to keep our message, spreading the message out there and trying to help and listening to other people's stories. Really, that's what inspired me to take this step, to share. It's an amalgam of other stories, but I know everyone has a story, and I didn't want to tell one person's story. Just wanted to tell a story that as many people could relate to. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to do, and just keep moving forward.
Thank you. Yes, I think that's great that you can, tell a story that represents a lot of the people in the process, and most importantly, bring hope. And that's also, what our show is about, to show the hope, love, and unity. Because there are so many adversity in this world now, and hatreds, and we want to reunite people, because people are people. I believe I'm a global citizen. I may look Asian, your wife is Asian. And so you and I both know that it's regardless of our gender, nationality, race, whatsoever. We are, if we have a nationality that is international, because we are a global citizen, and you and I both are, working in that direction. So thank you again. And to all of you that are tuning in later, this is the Miss Texas Show. If you think this show is helpful, give it a thumb up, subscribe to the channel, and share with your peers, and so that they can be aware of this. Because once again, the goal of the platform is to bring awareness to prevent this from happening. And I will fight until everyone is free. So I want to ask all of you to stand up with me and fight against domestic violence. Thank you again for tuning in. Bye for now. Thank you again, Dan.